He's principled, young and promising, the perfect boyfriend. But as the wedding date approached, Julian told me, I don't want to lose the person I truly love. He dumped me and rushed into marriage with a bubbly, sweet apprentice. I stepped back, heartbroken. 3 years later, at a high society party, I saw Julian again. He no longer had the look of an elite young man, and he asked me, "Can we talk?" With a slight smile, I replied, "No, my husband is waiting for me." Chapter 1. She's back. I heard Jenny's come back. I remember it was you, Jenny, who initiated the breakup, right? Julian's the head of the family now. Maybe Jenny regrets it? As I entered the ballroom, I heard a few people whispering nearby. It was the first time in 3 years that I heard their version of the truth about my breakup with Julian. It completely caught me off guard. Just like 3 years ago, when he suddenly said, "Jenny, how about we end things?" He added, "You only live once, and I don't want to lose the one I love. Besides, Jenny, you're too rigid and boring." Back then, I thought it was just an impulsive comment until the next day, when he posted his marriage certificate on social media, captioned, "You only live once." That's when I realized he hadn't been discussing anything with me, he was informing me. After a period of heartbreak, I stepped back from everything and went abroad to continue my studies. But I never imagined he'd go so far as to publicly say I was the one who initiated the breakup. While he enjoyed the reputation of a heartbroken victim, I became known as the cold, ambitious woman who was never satisfied. "Hey, isn't that Jenny?" An old friend recognized me and walked over, asking, "Why are you so late?" I answered, "I was delayed by a few things." They looked me up and down. "It's been years, but you look even more beautiful now. Your skin's glowing, like it could drip water." Of course, she's a violinist now. Her whole aura's different. She's an artist now. You can't compare her to us socialites anymore. Noticing the sarcasm laced in their tone, I smiled politely and changed the subject. After a few minutes of chatting, someone said, "Julian's here." 3 years ago, Julian stood out in every crowd. Now, he seemed to be weighed down by exhaustion. A friend whispered, "Even though Julian's the head of the family now, there's someone at home who's a real pain in the neck." I was about to ask more when Julian looked in my direction. Our eyes met. He froze for a second, then slowly walked over to me. "It's been a long time." I nodded coolly. "It has." Our ever-perceptive friends tactfully drifted away to give us space. It was the first time we'd seen each other in 3 years. I never expected we'd meet again like this. Julian spoke first. "You seem well, more or less," I said. "I heard you're giving a concert. Congrats, you've achieved your dream." He spoke in such a casual tone, like he was chatting with an old friend. I smiled faintly. "Thank you." Silence fell, lingering just long enough to become awkward. Julian broke it first. "What happened back then, it was my fault. I shouldn't have acted so selfishly." I replied calmly, "It's in the past." Just as Julian was about to say more, a figure rushed over and threw herself on his back. "Babe." Surprise! Julian's thin lips tensed slightly as he moved her off him. She took the opportunity to wrap an arm around him and held out her hand to me. "Hi, I'm Julian's wife, Maria." It wasn't the first time I'd seen Maria. 3 years ago, I saw her at Julian's company. She was a sweet and charming young woman. Julian had casually mentioned they got along really well. I didn't think much of it back then, but looking back now, the signs were already there. Out of courtesy, I lightly shook her hand. "You two talk. I'll step away for a moment." I went to the bathroom, touched up my makeup, and noticed a message on my phone. "If you don't come out soon, I'll come get you." I replied, "Give me 10 more minutes." The response came almost instantly. "Fine, but you'll owe me tonight." Chapter 2. Coming out of the restroom, I passed by a lounge. The door was slightly ajar. Out of instinct, I glanced inside and saw Julian, his face cold, scolding Maria. "Can you not embarrass yourself at an event like this? Go home. I have things to take care of." Maria was crying pitifully. "What things? You just found out Jenny's back, and now you want to rekindle your old flame, right? I won't allow it." Julian, I've been with you since I graduated. How can you treat me like this? Julian looked worn out. I told you, there's nothing between us. Why can't you believe me? Maria wouldn't let it go. You and her have almost 20 years of history. How do you expect me to believe you? She was right. Julian and I had nearly 20 years of childhood friendship and love, and in the end, it was no match for his one line. I don't want to miss out on the one I love. Maria knew exactly how he had changed his heart. How could she possibly feel secure seeing him near me again? But none of that matters to me anymore. Back in the ballroom, a friend pulled me into a conversation with the group. Midway through, Julian returned with Maria. In the end, he still couldn't bear to send away the one he loved. They sat down directly across from me. The mood shifted immediately. Conversations became stiff and awkward, full of half-hearted small talk. Suddenly, Maria pointed at my neck and gasped, "Oh my gosh, Jenny, did you hurt your neck?" Instinctively, I covered it, replying a bit awkwardly, "It's nothing." Maria ignored my discomfort and walked right over, trying to pull my hand away to look. "How can it be nothing? It's red." Off guard, I didn't resist in time. She pulled my hand aside, revealing the marks just below my collar. The kind of marks that were clearly left during intimate moments. Maria shot Julian a long, meaningful look. I adjusted my collar, visibly annoyed. Everyone present was an adult. They instantly picked up on Maria's implication and cast her looks of subtle disdain. But Maria didn't think she'd crossed a line. She asked, testing the waters, "Jenny, you've been broken up with Julian for years. You've probably started dating someone, right?" Before I could reply, Julian growled under his breath, "If you keep making a scene, I'll have someone take you home immediately." Maria pouted. "I'm just trying to show concern for your friend. It wasn't malicious." Julian's face darkened. "Shut up." He turned to try and apologize to me, but I stood first. "I have something to take care of. I'm leaving." Just as I reached my car, someone pulled me into a firm embrace. A deep, magnetic voice whispered in my ear, "You're 1 minute late." I chuckled. "Hudson, you're so controlling. I'm generous enough to let you meet your ex." I found myself at a loss for words. "Coming to my place tonight?" I nodded. As we walked, Hudson suddenly stopped, tilted my chin up, and kissed me. When the kiss ended, I glared at him. "Hudson." He seemed in a great mood. "Yes, I'm here." He pulled me into the car and, just before shutting the door, deliberately glanced toward the ballroom with a smirk. I followed his gaze, but saw nothing. "What are you looking at?" "Nothing. This place isn't bad." I didn't question it. "Yeah, it's pretty nice." The next day, my good friend Gloria called. After a few minutes of catching up, she shifted the topic. "I heard Julian and Maria had a huge fight last night. He even mentioned divorce. Even if people say you were the one who broke up with him, the fact that Julian got married the next day really says a lot about his character." "Gloria," I said. "I wasn't the one who broke things off back then." "What?" I told her what Julian had said to me all those years ago. After hearing it, Gloria was fuming. "That bastard, he's been dragging your name through the mud for years. I seriously can't take this." "Just wait. I'm going to clear your name for you." "Let it go," I said. "It's all in the past now." Chapter 3. Maybe it was the long chat with Gloria, but my mind drifted back to the night Julian broke up with me. I had cooked a table full of his favorite dishes. He didn't come home until 11. When he walked in, he didn't spare a glance at the table and headed straight for his study. I called out, "At least eat something before you work." He said, "I already ate." But that day was our anniversary. He had promised that morning to come home early and have dinner with me. I wanted to say more, but he picked up a call and was about to leave again. I blocked his path. "It's our anniversary today." He stared at me for a long time, long enough that I thought he might actually feel guilty, and then, suddenly, he said, "Jenny, maybe we should just end this." I stared at him, stunned. After a long pause, I finally asked why. He said, "You're too stiff. Boring. We've been together since childhood. We know each other too well. All you ever do is read or play the violin. You've got no other interests. You're too dull. I don't want to spend my life with a lifeless robot. That night, he left and never came back. I sat alone the entire night, up until the moment he posted that wedding certificate the next day. I had honestly believed he was just in a bad mood. I was wrong. After the breakup, I was in a dark place for a long time. My parents, worried about my mental health, decided to send me abroad for further studies and a change of scenery. Even after I left, I couldn't move on right away. I often went drinking at bars, trying to drown my feelings. That's when Hudson appeared. He brought my completely drunk self back to his place and took care of me all night. The next morning, I thought we had slept together and panicked. But he calmly said, "I'm not the kind of guy who takes advantage of women." After learning that my school was near his company, Hudson started picking me up for meals frequently. Eventually, we became friends. Things changed half a year ago, when I passed my level 10 violin exam. I treated him to dinner, and on the way back to campus, he suddenly asked seriously, "I've been chasing you for this long. Don't you think it's time you made it official?" Looking at this capable, charming man in front of me, in a moment of heat, I said yes. The day Julian asked to meet me, I happened to be helping a friend try on wedding dresses. I gave him the address of the bridal shop. By the time he arrived, I had already changed back into my regular clothes. He suggested we go across the street to talk. "Let's just stay here." If Hudson, that jealous man, found out I was meeting Julian one-on-one, it'd be a whole thing. As I moved to sit down, a sharp ache ran through my upper thigh. Hudson really hadn't held back last night. The after effects were real. I grabbed a soft throw pillow and placed it under me, then asked, "So, what did you need to say in person?" Julian took out a jewelry box. "This belongs to you. I'm returning it." I opened it. It was the engagement ring from back then. I looked at him coldly. "What is this supposed to mean?" "It's your ring. I have no right to keep it. No one keeps an engagement ring after a breakup." He clearly came just to stir up emotions. Fuming, I picked up a glass of water from the table. I must have drunk too fast, because I suddenly started choking and coughing hard. Julian reached out, trying to help, but another hand beat him to it, gently patting my back. "No need, sir. My girlfriend just choked a little." Julian frowned. "She didn't eat anything. How could she choke?" "Fish bone from breakfast. Took 20 minutes to get it out." Julian looked confused at first, then his handsome face tightened, veins bulging in his clenched fist. He looked like he was barely holding back his rage. The two men stared each other down, neither backing off. Eventually, I caught my breath and said to Julian, "You can keep it or throw it away. Do whatever you want." Outside the bridal shop, I took Hudson's hand. "Don't be mad. I didn't know he'd bring that with him." Hudson's jaw was tense. "You met him in private. This is your turf, Hudson. And look, he's in the past. There's nothing now. And there never will be." Hudson still wore a dark look, but the slight curl of his lips betrayed his mood. I hooked my arm through his. "Tomorrow's concert, I saved you a great seat." "That's more like it." Chapter 4. On the day of the concert, Julian showed up. Through the crowd, I saw someone guiding him to the seat I had reserved specifically for Hudson. I'm not sure if I imagined it, but I saw Julian flash a provoking smile in Hudson's direction. Hudson didn't react. He simply sat quietly, watching the direction of the backstage. I called over my assistant and gave her a few instructions. Not long after she left, someone came over to Hudson, whispered something in his ear, and then led him to the best private viewing box on the second floor. As for Julian, his previously smug expression darkened, but I didn't care. After the performance, I waited backstage for Hudson. I wasn't expecting Julian to show up instead. He was holding a bouquet of flowers. "Jenny, you looked stunning today." "I didn't take the flowers. Thanks, but I'll pass." "Don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Afraid he'll get the wrong idea?" "Yes, you've changed," he said. "You weren't like this before." "No, I've always been like this. Back when we were together, I always kept my distance from other men, never giving him a reason to be suspicious." He seemed to remember something. His thin lips tightened. "So now, you're going to keep me at a distance?" "Yes." A flash of pain crossed his eyes. but it vanished quickly. I came to tell you, there's a college reunion in a few days. Everyone's hoping you'll come. I nodded. I'll be there. I've always had a good relationship with my university classmates. I wasn't going to skip the event just because of Julian. As soon as Julian left, Hudson came in, expressionless. Impossible to tell if he was angry or not. I told him about Julian stopping by. Hudson remained stone-faced. You're going to the reunion? Yeah, it's been a while since I saw everyone. Oh, the way he acted all restrained was so exaggerated. I couldn't help but laugh. I took his hand and softened my tone. I want you to come with me. After all, this trip home was for our engagement preparations. The reunion was a perfect opportunity to introduce Hudson to my friends. And once they saw him, all those rumors about me would fall apart on their own. On the day of the reunion, Hudson cleared his schedule to come with me. Just as we were getting ready to leave, I got a call from Gloria. Jenny, they just sent out a notice. No +1s allowed today. I asked around. Apparently Julian organized this whole thing, and he's the one who made the no +1s rule. Seriously, who pulls something like this? Every year we've brought guests. Is he trying to keep his wife from coming or what? That was their theory, that Julian didn't want Maria to attend. But we all knew the real reason. It was Hudson he didn't want there. I looked over at Hudson. He smirked, his eyes flashing coldly. Let's see what kind of game he wants to play. Hudson made a few phone calls, then left for the venue with me. At the door of the private room, Hudson stopped. You go in first. I'll follow. Just as I raised my hand to knock, I heard my name being mentioned inside. I heard Jenny found herself some 60-year-old sugar daddy overseas. What's the point of living well if you had to sell your body to do it? With that supermodel figure of hers, what guy wouldn't be tempted? If I had her looks, I'd snag a rich guy too. Julian, didn't you meet her man? Julian's voice was flat, emotionless. Never met him. Then the rumors must be true. Good thing you got out early. A woman like that? Total red flag. Julian must have had great instincts. Imagine how many times he'd have been cheated on if he stayed with her. Exactly. Compared to Jenny, Maria's obviously the better choice, right? Julian? Julian let out a soft chuckle. Can't spend your life with someone that boring. I had never seen this version of Julian before. He used to be rational, measured, someone who knew boundaries. Now, to protect his own pride, he'd say anything, no matter how low, not even a trace of the person he used to be. It was chilling. Chapter 5. When I walked in, all conversation stopped, and every pair of eyes turned to me. I walked straight up to Julian and slapped him across the face. The once lively room was suddenly blanketed in an eerie silence. Julian stood there, face dark, staring at me without saying a word. One of his buddies broke the silence. Jenny, what the hell is that supposed to mean? I looked Julian straight in the eye. Back then, you broke up with me and then went around trashing my name. I didn't say anything, because I didn't know the truth. But now you know everything, and you're still helping them throw dirt on me. Julian, I'm honestly disgusted by you. His friends tried to defend him. Come on, Jenny, what are you even talking about? Julian only said a couple of things, and they weren't even that harsh. No need to lose it. I held back my anger and said calmly, oh, then let me ask, which part of what he said was true? That he dumped me one night and got married the next day? Or that he showed up a few days ago with our old engagement ring just to mess with me and my fiancé? Everyone glanced around awkwardly. Maybe Julian's perfect gentleman persona had been so well crafted over the years that people still wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Jenny, I know you still haven't gotten over Julian, but weren't you the one who cheated first? Exactly. You can regret it all you want, but don't go ruining someone else's marriage. No matter what they said, I didn't budge. I kept my eyes locked on Julian. The atmosphere in the room grew more and more suffocating. Someone tugged at my sleeve, hinting I should just let it go. Finally, Julian spoke for the first time since I'd entered. Jenny, stop clinging to the past. I let the words sink in, and then, without warning, laughed. Julian's eyes darkened. We're all gathered here today. Let's not ruin the mood, okay? Years ago, I had brought Julian home to meet my parents. He played the part of the perfect boyfriend so well. I felt proud introducing him, but after he left, my parents took me aside and said, "Jenny, that man is dangerously shrewd. If things ever go wrong between you two, he'll know exactly how to stab you where it hurts." At the time, I was completely in love with Julian. I brushed it off and even reassured them. He might hurt anyone else, but he would never hurt me. Now, thinking back, it's all just one big, cruel joke. Just as I was about to speak again, a figure came charging toward me. "You bitch. Jenny, I knew you still had your eyes on Julian after all these years. Can't you leave other people's husbands alone? What? That old sugar daddy of yours can't satisfy you?" Maria came at me fast. Too fast for me to dodge, but just as she was about to grab me, a strong arm pulled me protectively into an embrace. Maria stopped short and glared venomously at the man behind me. "Oh, and who's this now? Jenny? Another one of your boy toys?" Typical, single women like you can always find some guy to cling to. The man she mocked was currently checking me over carefully, making sure I wasn't hurt. I held his hand and turned to Maria. "Maria." My tone was icy. "If you want to throw a tantrum, pick the right place. This is a college reunion. Don't make a scene." Maria's expression shifted, and she looked at Julian, but when she saw he had no intention of stopping me, her confidence returned and she smirked. "Well, my husband organized this reunion, so if you don't like it, you're free to leave." Right on cue, Gloria's voice rang out. "Oh, so that's how it is? Julian planned this event and said no +1s allowed, and yet you brought your wife? What? You invited us all just to watch the two of you show off your fake happiness?" Gloria's comment lit the spark. Several other girls who didn't like Maria chimed in one after another. Seeing the tide turning against her, Maria scrambled to explain. I didn't mean it like that." But the more flustered she got, the less sense she made. Finally, she turned to Julian, eyes pleading for help. Julian's face was now completely stormy. He barked at Maria under his breath. "Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Just a moment ago she was gloating that he didn't kick her out. Now, it felt like someone had shoved her into an ice bath." She bit her lip, eyes glistening. "Honey, please, I'll just sit quietly next to you. I won't say a word. Don't make me leave, okay?" Gloria didn't let that slide. If no one else brought a +1, then no one gets special treatment. Isn't that right, everyone? And Maria, this rule was set by your dear husband himself. Pretty custom fit for you. Huh? Maria glared at Gloria like she wanted to poison her with her eyes. But she had no comeback. And just then, a cool, composed voice broke through the tension. "How about this? I'll host everyone upstairs at the top floor of the Golden Lounge. +1s are welcome." Only then did everyone seem to realize Hudson had been there all along. The attention shifted. "Who's that? I don't recognize him." "Jenny. Who is he?" I linked arms with Hudson and smiled. "This is my fiancé, Hudson." Everyone was stunned. I even heard someone whisper, "Didn't they say Jenny hooked up with some wrinkly old guy? What if she hired this guy to play the part, just to clear her name?" Gloria had had enough. Use your heads for once. Think, where did all those rumors about Jenny even come from? A moment of silence passed. Then, one by one, everyone slowly turned to look at Maria. Chapter 6. Maria looked around at everyone, her gaze finally landing on Julian, but he didn't even glance her way. Gloria laughed. "You put so much effort into spreading rumors about Jenny. What now? Cat got your tongue? Great, she's right here. Why don't you keep talking? Let's settle this face to face. Honestly, what did Jenny ever do to you two? Sharing a bed shouldn't produce two completely different kinds of people. And yet here you are, trying to ruin her reputation. Good thing she's strong enough to survive it, good enough to find a real man who sees her worth." Maria left crying. As soon as she was gone, someone came up to me and asked, "Jenny, is that really your fiancé?" I smiled and nodded. The woman looked at me with admiration. "We were all misled by Maria. A girl like you deserves someone amazing." Then, unintentionally, she glanced over at Julian. Some people cheat and still make others take the fall for it. Julian sat silently on the sofa, unreadable, but his friends couldn't keep quiet. "Jenny, where'd you even find this sucker? talking big about taking everyone to the top floor of the Golden Lounge. Do you even know what kind of people can get up there? I heard the top floor is reserved for Hudson, the heir to the empire. It's private, off limits to the public. Why don't you ask your fiancé to work some magic and let us have a look? The room burst into mocking laughter. Jenny, next time you hire someone to play the role, make sure they actually know what they're talking about. Saves everyone the second-hand embarrassment. Julian glanced at Hudson for a moment, then quickly looked away. Gloria had had enough. She walked up to me and said, "Let's go. Jenny, they can stay or not. I'm not missing a chance to see the top floor of the Golden Lounge." Once she moved, several other girls followed suit. Then Julian, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. "Jenny, you don't need to blow this little misunderstanding out of proportion. If you really want to go, I can make a call." There hadn't been many big moments since I returned to the country, but everything that had happened was more than enough to show me who Julian really was. I declined his offer coolly and left with the girls, maybe out of curiosity or drama-loving instinct. Julian's buddies all followed, including Julian. At the Golden Lounge, while Hudson stepped aside to take a call, Julian took the chance to approach me. "You've changed," he said. "You used to never care about these flashy things." I knew what he meant. Back then, he was always busy with social events and business. I never bothered him with trivial requests or asked for anything that might feed my vanity, let alone asked him to use his connections for my sake. He glanced toward Hudson, who was still on the phone. "Jenny, he's not right for you." I couldn't hold back anymore and cut him off. "Whether he's right for me or not, I know best." "That's not your concern." Julian frowned slightly. "What good does it do you to be so stubborn with me now? You should be figuring out how to help cover for his lie before people start mocking you in the alumni group chat." His friends had always said I'd never find anyone better than him after we split. That's why he was so sure Hudson couldn't compare. In his eyes, a young, successful man like Hudson would never go for someone like me, a rigid, boring woman. I didn't argue. No one knew better than me what Hudson was capable of. Besides, the Golden Lounge was his family's property. Whatever he wanted to happen here only needed one word from him. Hudson's call took a while, and when he returned, his face was a little tense. Julian glanced at him and said casually, "The top floor needs a reservation. I'll call someone to help out." He turned and stepped aside to make a call. I asked Hudson if there was a problem. He said it was work-related. Just then, Julian came back. There was a flicker of something sharp in his eyes as he looked at Hudson. "Let's go somewhere else. The top floor's been booked." Hudson replied calmly. "That's not necessary. Everything's already arranged. Let's go up." Julian stepped in to block the way. "Don't bring Jenny. She's got a soft heart, can't handle public embarrassment like this." As he reached out to grab me, Hudson pulled me into his arms. The tension between the two men became instantly palpable. Several classmates nearby noticed the scene unfolding. Chapter 7. Once Julian's friends figured out what was happening, they all started mocking Hudson. "Told you, how could a nobody like him possibly get access to the top floor? You guys actually believed it? Now this is just embarrassing." "Julian, don't you know the manager here, Mr. Liu? Give him a call. Maybe he can hook your buddy up. Let him sneak a peek upstairs." "Speak of the devil, there's Mr. Liu now. See?" Julian's got pull. The manager rushed over, but walked right past Julian and stopped in front of Hudson. No, Mr. Liu. Julian's over here." But Mr. Liu ignored them completely and bowed respectfully to Hudson. "Sorry to keep you waiting, sir. I'll take you up now." Hudson gave him a light nod. "Appreciate it." Julian's friends thought there had been a mistake. One of them pointed to Julian and said, "That's the guy who called you earlier. Mr. Liu, you've got the wrong guy." Mr. Liu finally looked at him, frowning. "Aw, Julian, you guys came to hang out too?" Julian nodded. "Yeah." One of his buddies chimed in. "Julian called you just now about the top floor." Mr. Liu replied casually, "Oh, that. It's already reserved by our young master. Even if Julian wants it, he'll have to wait till tomorrow." Then he turned back to Hudson. "Sir, everything's ready. Let me show you the way." "Young master? Wait, don't tell me he's..." Everyone stared at Hudson, their expressions shifting through shock, disbelief, and silence. It was obvious that neither Julian nor his crew had any idea Hudson was the young master. Of course, he'd been abroad for years, barely known in domestic circles. That night, Julian and his friends had no choice but to stay and endure the humiliation till the very end. Meanwhile, Gloria and the others gleefully took every opportunity to roast them the entire night. Thanks to all of this, Julian's behavior ended up spreading like wildfire, and his reputation in his social circle plummeted. But that's another story. After the reunion, Hudson officially began taking over his family's business. Even though his schedule was insane, he still found time to send me sweet messages and plan little surprises. If I hadn't dropped by his office unannounced that day, I probably never would have found out. He'd gotten into a fight with Julian. When he saw me, he tried to avoid me, but there was nowhere to hide. So he finally confessed. Julian had asked to meet him. Neither of them said a word. They just started throwing punches. I applied ointment in silence. "Are you mad?" Hudson asked. "Would I dare?" I replied, but the pressure I was putting on his bruise definitely increased a little. Hudson winced. He pulled me into his arms and explained. "This is how men solve things. He won't bother you again." "Hudson," I said. "Julian's ancient history to me. You don't have to waste your time on him." He smiled. "But what can I do? He still thinks about you." I rolled my eyes. "So what? You think you can control someone else's mind?" Hudson laughed. "Don't be mad, okay? And he's not that impressive. I hit all the spots that won't show." I poked the bruise at the corner of his mouth. "So you let him hit the visible ones?" Hudson didn't even deny it. "That way, you'll feel bad for me. I've got a business trip tomorrow. Come with me?" I shook my head. Hudson, thinking I was still upset, started trying every trick to cheer me up. Eventually, I gave in. What I didn't expect was to run into Julian on that trip, and even less expected, Maria was there too. The hotel had a hot spring. While I was soaking, I overheard Maria's voice nearby. She was talking to a friend. "That little bitch Jenny just won't quit. Thinks she can steal Julian back with her pretty boy boyfriend. She forgets how I took Julian from her the first time. She has no idea all that money she's too stingy to spend. It ended up in my pocket anyway. Julian says she's boring and stiff. But honestly, she's just dumb." Her friend giggled. "You've really got Julian wrapped around your finger." Maria scoffed. "Don't even. Now that Jenny's back, I have to be on high alert. If I don't hold my ground, I'll lose my title as wife real quick." If she hadn't suddenly come back, I wouldn't have had to drag Julian out here like this. At the end of the day, if you're a woman, you need to cry, scream, and throw a little drama to get what you want. That was when I realized just how little Julian ever thought of me. Even all those hurtful things he once said, he had held back. But if he thought so poorly of me, why keep coming back after I returned home? Chapter 8. After the trip, I returned home and took out a box tucked away in a corner of the study. It held all the memories from my time with Julian. Ever since I left the country, it had stayed sealed and untouched. If it weren't for what Maria said in the hot spring, I probably never would have opened it again. I took out an old phone and several memory cards. Everything else, I threw away. The memory cards were still intact. I charged the phone, and surprisingly, it still powered on. I exported everything from the cards. Then, I made a phone call. The next morning, I was woken up by shouting. Julian's parents had come. They were making a huge scene in the living room, demanding an explanation. When I came downstairs, Julian's parents each grabbed one of my hands. "Jenny, you're the bigger person. Can you just let this go?" "Yes. Jenny, you two used to be together. How could you be so cruel and ruin his future like this? Please take those videos down." I gently pulled my hands free and walked over to stand beside my parents. "Uncle, Auntie, did Julian send you here?" I asked calmly. "Tell him I just wanted to stand up for myself in my own way. That's all." They hadn't expected me to admit it so bluntly. For a moment, they were stunned. I continued. "Unhurried. Julian cheated on me. Then he slandered me. And now, using a pathetic excuse, he physically attacked my fiancé." Before I could finish, my mom suddenly stood up. "What? My son-in-law got hurt? Where? How bad is it?" My dad slammed his hand on the table. Unbelievable. Your Julian hit someone and then you show up here playing the victims? This is outrageous. Butler, get these two out of my house. By the time Julian's parents realized how bad things were, it was already too late. As they were being kicked out, all they could do was beg me to delete the videos and chat logs from online. But truth be told, those videos and chats, I hadn't known about them until recently. It was Maria who exposed it all. She said I was stupid for trusting Julian so much, for never checking the surveillance footage. If I had even once looked at the footage from a particular day, I'd have seen the video of them sneaking around behind my back. She even mentioned that the old phone I had kept was their flirting phone. Julian had always told me it was just a work phone. Julian probably never imagined that the woman he had so carefully chosen would one day leave behind such a fatal trail. My mom had always adored Hudson, her future son-in-law. After throwing Julian's parents out, she still muttered bitterly, "Isn't your son so capable? Then let him clean up his own mess. Why come begging us?" Back then, after Julian rushed to marry Maria, I fell into a deep depression for a while. My parents had actually gone to Julian's parents and asked him to come see me. And what did they say? "Our son is excellent. He's surrounded by women." If he had to deal with emotional drama every time he broke up, how would he have time to work? "Your daughter was with our son for 2 years, wasn't she? She didn't walk away empty-handed. She's pretty. You can probably find someone else for her just as good." Now the tables had turned, and for the first time, I felt like my parents had finally gotten their dignity back. Afterward, instead of blaming me, they praised me. "You did the right thing. We fully support you. If we'd known you kept those things, we wouldn't have waited so long for Julian to get what he deserved." By the way, Jenny, has Julian been trying to contact you again? I shook my head, but 2 days later, he came knocking. The exposé I sent to my reporter friend had blown up. Front page headlines on multiple outlets. The buzz didn't die down for several days. According to Gloria, Julian had been drowning in scandal control mode. He even lost a few major deals. Meanwhile, Hudson told me he had just signed several lucrative contracts. When Gloria brought up Julian's current situation, she sighed. Who would have thought Julian was this kind of person? Good thing you cut ties when you did, otherwise you'd be dragged down with him now. Maria's been throwing tantrums nonstop for weeks, but now that Julian's in hot water, she's suddenly gone dead silent. I listened quietly, my mind drifting back to those leaked videos. Julian had brought Maria into my home before he broke up with me. They kissed on the sofa I had chosen so carefully. They lived like a couple in the house that I had made into a home. All those nights he said he was working in the study, he was actually staying up late talking to her. And I had never suspected a thing. Chapter 9. That night, I stayed late working at the studio. When I came downstairs, I saw Julian leaning against a car by the road, cigarette butts scattered around his feet. The moment he saw me, he walked over in long strides. Up close, I realized Gloria had actually toned down her description of him. Julian looked ruined. His normally sharp suit was wrinkled. His hair was messy. There were dark circles under his eyes. He clearly hadn't slept in days. "Can we talk?" he asked. "No," I said. "My fiancé's waiting for me." Julian rubbed his temples. "You're the one who leaked those videos and chats, right? Did it have to be this brutal?" I calmly stepped back, putting distance between us. "This isn't about being brutal. I just wanted justice for myself." His face darkened. "You realize what you released could destroy me?" I met his eyes, calm, unflinching. "Yes, I know. Jenny, I thought you were different from other women. Turns out, you're even more vicious. What I did back then was wrong. Sure, but don't pretend you were blameless. After all these years, this was the first time we'd actually talked about our breakup. And even now, he still believed he'd done nothing wrong. In his mind, I was the problem, too boring, too rigid, and I was the one who'd ruined him by exposing the truth. But what exactly had I done wrong? "Jenny, I'm a man." You were so emotionless, so self-sufficient, I felt useless, like I didn't even exist to you. "Do you know how that feels?" "No," I said. "I don't. But if you didn't love me anymore, you could have told me. You didn't have to betray me." "I didn't, I cut him off." You just wanted excitement. Just got married the day after breaking up with me. Just told everyone I was the cheater, right? Julian, we're adults. Let's cut the crap. After this, we're even. Footsteps approached from nearby. It was Maria. She hesitated, clearly torn between wanting to approach and Julian's presence holding her back. Julian noticed her too and his scowl deepened. Why are you still following me? Maria froze, her voice trembling as she choked back a sob. I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean to. Then she turned to me with a crazed look in her eyes. It was you, wasn't it? You heard what I said at the hot spring, didn't you? Jenny, how could you be so cruel? Are you trying to ruin Julian completely? Looking at her deranged, twisted face, I didn't even bother to respond. I simply turned and walked away. Hudson came around from behind the car and wrapped an arm around me as we got in. He gave me a side glance and muttered, a little jealous. If I hadn't shown up, were you planning on having a deep emotional chat with your ex all night? I nodded playfully. Who knows? Hudson's face darkened instantly. That night, he didn't let me go home. He spent the entire night making sure I didn't have the energy to think about anyone else, trying out every advanced move in the book. Relentless. Once the wedding date was set, Hudson and I became incredibly busy. Both sides of the family were thrilled about the marriage. On the wedding day, Gloria came into the bridal room. I just saw Julian. My God, he's unrecognizable. I'd heard bits and pieces about him from Hudson, but he didn't like me asking too much. All I knew was that things weren't going well for him. His company was on the brink of collapse. Did you know? Julian's filed for divorce from Maria, but Maria's family won't let go of their cash cow. They're using what they know about him to force him to stay married. But the truth was, even with the marriage intact, Julian's glory days were long gone. Maria, with her endless appetite for drama, would probably stir up even more chaos. But none of it had anything to do with me anymore. I took my father's arm and slowly walked down the aisle toward the man waiting for me at the altar. Hudson's gaze never left mine, like a silent, unwavering vow, as if to say, not everyone will hurt you. Some people are different.